So this week I spent my time swinging and punching my way through New York City, and I have to say, I haven't had as much fun in an action game for a very long time. Spider-Man on PS4 is, we're just going to refer to it as just simply Spider-Man, is a game that everyone that has a PS4 should play. Here's why. And I know it's a bold statement to immediately come across in the first 30 seconds of the video, but hear me out. Spider-Man just simply nails how fluent and how fun gameplay should be. If you're swinging around New York City, you can easily pick it up and there's not a lot of stuff that you would need to do in order to get the grip of it. Upgrades to Spider-Man itself happen naturally over the game as well, and you don't really seem to be needing them all that much as well. Personally, I was playing on normal, and the upgrades that you can get through the side missions are not really necessarily that required at all, although the game does really like to push those side missions in your face whenever you have done a main mission. Personally, I really just wanted to continue on with the main missions, but every time I did one, I had to wait like a minute or two until the next one showed up, because they really would like you to start doing some side quests as well. It does make sense from a making Spider-Man itself more powerful perspective, and it is worth going for that if you really want to get the upper hand in a lot of the fights. But I personally didn't really go for that because I really just wanted to focus on my main campaign kind of thing, because I was really curious about how the story would develop and all that stuff. So I kind of just focused on that, and I was a little bit annoyed how they would try to push on it. It was not a major deal, it kind of gave you a little bit of a moment to just swing around New York City for a little bit, or maybe even do a random encounter or side mission as you were waiting for the next call to come in for the next main mission. Now, swinging around New York City is not the only thing that's fluent about the game. The combat itself is something that is just not something I've never really ever seen in any kind of action game as well. It's so fluent, it just works. You can just go from swinging around to just punching someone and right back at that too. The dodging system works well. It's fluent and it just feels fun to play. Sometimes, though, one thing that I had a personal beef with, I guess, is because this is a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and the moves that I personally had, and I know there's probably moves for that, but I didn't really use them, was that if you have a big group to fight against, I would personally have to go one by one to fight them, which I personally really enjoy. But once you have a sizable group, which is pretty manageable, you can change combat just constantly together, just move after move, chaining them together, like flying through the air, then doing another move. I mean, you're seeing some gameplay of one of the highlights, in my opinion, of the game. There's no spoilers in this one for obvious reasons. I don't want to spoil anything, but as you can see by some of the movements that I'm able to do, you just already can see how fun this game is to watch, let alone to just simply play. It feels like it's one of those games that just feels good to play. But I guess the best way to describe it is that Spider-Man is one of those games where everything just makes sense. The pacing of the game is another thing that I just really love, and the combat and the swinging around is something that goes hand in hand with that as well. Touching on the story for a little bit is another example of the pacing of the game being very well done. Now, personally, I'm not all that familiar with Spider-Man and its lore and Marvel and just movies in general, and especially with the Marvel movies and what the lore is between all the villains and all that stuff. So I went into this thing thinking, I'm not going to understand the story at all. However, as someone who has no idea about any of the villains, I simply just got in there and thinking, oh, hey, this story makes sense to me. I know what's going on. It's just, to me, it feels like it's part of the Marvel universe, but it still makes sense as a standalone story as well. So if we're kind of worried about that, I personally really enjoyed the story. The pacing of the story was very well. The character development of the characters in there was also very well done too. Some stuff was a little bit predictable, but that might be me having, kind of seen a lot of the tricks that have been done within games and the movies already. But there were some plots, twists and all that stuff that I didn't really see coming, but overall I think it was a really solid story and I really enjoyed it, especially the end boss battle. Holy crap, that was awesome. I was on the edge of my seat. And for a lot of the other boss battles too, they are very well done, and one of the things that Spider-Man does very well is that they don't drag it on. It all makes sense. If you're doing something, it makes sense that you're doing it. You don't feel like ever really. Like you're doing something for no reason, that they're trying to extend the game, not at all, because there's this one moment inside of the game where I was like, oh, I'm hoping that they're not going to go a certain route where they're going to try to really drag it on, because that kind of felt like the midway point of the game to me. But luckily for me, I guess, is that they didn't drag it on. They kept the pacing going in a good way, and it didn't constantly go, you know, when you're going straight forward, they didn't force you to take a right or a left constantly, what a lot of other games do as well. Something I personally despise, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. Now you might be wondering, do you have anything negative to say about this game? I actually have still defined it, to be honest with you. For what I've played, which is mainly just main content stuff and not necessarily side missions, I have to say it's a really solid game. I mean, if you look at the game as well, it's beautiful. You can climb every building. The draw distance is great. Like you're looking at a very nice looking city too. I mean, it's New York, as you would know. I mean, yes, personally, as a GTA/Rockstar fan, I did try to find Rockstar. It's supposed to be somewhere in there too. There's even a GTA 4 Easter egg as well, which is really cool. It's just a really solid and fun game. And personally, I'd say if you're having a few bucks laying around and you have $60, you know, that you can just spend, get it. It's honestly, it's a crap ton of fun. The main campaign takes 10 to 15 hours, I would say. I mean, I did play the crap ton, and I know the game came out on Friday, but I have played it a lot, and I'm dare to say that on normal, you're probably going to beat this game in 10 to 15 hours, just purely focusing on main missions. There's a lot of side missions you can do as well, which will definitely extend the playtime some more. So I think if you would really get every single bit out of this game, you're probably looking at a 25 to 30 hour game. So you just have to kind of see what kind of price tag you want to attach to that. But personally, from a fun factor perspective, this game is definitely worth full price. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm definitely not going to stop playing it just yet. But for the main story and the stuff that I have played so far, it's a fantastic game. And it's another confirmation that Sony is doing a very good job with their exclusives for their console, because Superman is another hit for the PS4. But that was it for my review of Spider-Man. Let me know what you think about the game. Do you think it's one of the most fun games you've ever played, or do you think that there's actually a lot wrong with it? Obviously, opinions, please keep them spoiler free and leave them in the comments down below. But with all that said and done, thank you so very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.
I could have taken him.
Sure.